Hey guys, this week our discussion topic is not just an academic exercise. What I'm talking about this week is something that is for real. That's right. I know for most of you this is your first semester and you haven't really thought about graduate school. I mean, you just want to try to get through this first semester, but eventually you're going to get through this semester and you're going to start thinking about what you're going to do after you graduate. And some of you will want to go to work right away. Some of you may want to go to graduate school. Some of you may want to work a while, then go to graduate school. And then some of you may actually end up traveling abroad. Who knows? Stranger things have happened, right? And, well, I've got access to these scholarships that I'm going to tell you about in just a moment. And, yeah, it's a free ride scholarship, full ride scholarship, in which they not only pay for your tuition, but they'll also give you a little bit of a spending money, a little bit of allowance, something to spend while you're running around and pay for your living expenses. This first slide here is a couple of pictures from Hong Kong. This is me when I was at Appalachian State University. They're also called the Mountaineers, by the way. It's in Boone, North Carolina. I taught there for a few years before I came to West Virginia State University. This is a group of students I took, and this is a picture from Victoria Harbor looking across to Hong Kong Island. This picture is actually from Victoria Peak, looking down also over Victoria Harbor, a very famous skyline that you've probably seen before in, I don't know, movies and so forth. Yeah, like I said before, this is a free ride scholarship. I've got a student right now that I think is interested and is going to apply. This is full tuition plus living expenses. It's worth, depending on the program you study, about $50,000. Yeah, so this is real. This is like someone writing out a check for $50,000 and handing it to you to go and study in an exotic location, right? Get a master's degree. Only takes 1 year. And so it's free. It's actually a really great deal. They have 10 different majors: Master of Accountancy, Master of Human Resource Management, Master of Science in Applied Accounting and Finance, Master of Science in Applied Economics, Master of Science in Business Management, Master of Science in Corporate Governance and Compliance, Master of Science in Data Analytics and Business Economics, Master of Science in Entrepreneurship and Global Marketing, Master of Science in FinTech and Financial Analytics, and a Master of Science in Marketing for the Creative Economy. I'm going to post this. Well, this is posted on my online, so you can go into this and link onto these. This gives you more information about the program. It's opening up on my other screen here. Give me just a sec. This is information about the program. So if you open that, go into this will tell you more about the International Postgraduate Program. These are some of the international students that have stayed there in the past. More information. You can link onto each of these programs to find out more information depending on which one you're interested in. If you go into this one, this is a view of the university. This is a view of the Hong Kong skyline again. These are the international students kind of posing for a picture here. It looks kind of funny. Anyway, more information about it. Full tuition and fee waiver in addition to your paying for your tuition waiver. You get $12,820 US, 100,000 Hong Kong dollars, which comes out to about 12,820 US dollars. This is some information about the program. It's triple accredited. Honestly, it's a much higher ranking than West Virginia State University. It's one of the Financial Times top 100 Masters in Management, the MSCBM program, which is one of those Master of Science in Business Management. Hong Kong is 12th in best student cities to study abroad. It's a top 10 in Asia Pacific, top 50 in the world, 23rd in QS World Rankings, top 50 under 50. So it's a new university, but has very high ranking worldwide, very high standards. But I don't want it to scare you off and make you think it's too hard, because it's not. It's you as a native English speaker, all the courses are in English. You will have an advantage because most of your classmates will not be native speakers of English, and so they will naturally gravitate towards you. You'll make a lot of friends with some mostly Chinese, but people from all over the world, maybe Europe and other places. It'd just be a great experience for you. These next 3 links, again, if you want to follow these links, these are stories about students that I'd sent from Appalachian State University before I came here. This is the last batch that I sent. So, yeah, Trey Farid studied Masters of Accounting. Let's see, Michelle Jeanatan Garrett studied Applied Accounting and Finance. Melissa Moore studied the MSc BM. And Kaylin Posada studied Master of Human Resource Management. Each of these students went there, studied, graduated, and is now working different parts. One student, not from this batch, but from another batch, got a job working as an information librarian at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. after she got her degree. Sorry, I'm not going to go down through these others because you get the idea. You can do this on your own. Just pop down and look at each of these and see. You can see the different students and what they studied and what they're doing now. All right, so a little bit about this. Where is Hong Kong? Well, here's a map. This is all of China here. Hong Kong is a tiny little place down here. It's this. They blew up this little square here. And so this shows you Hong Kong. This is Hong Kong Island. I can see this here. This is called Lantau Island, one of the outlying islands. And the biggest area here is the New Territories, an area called Kowloon. So yeah, it's a tiny speck down here at the very bottom along the coast of China. And one of the things about Hong Kong is it's very crowded. Now, people from West Virginia, this scares them, but you know, I found that very interesting. I'm from West Virginia, you know that. And I lived there for 20 years. And yeah, it takes some getting used to them, all the crowds, the people everywhere. But it can be very exciting to have something going on all the time, and have lots of people around all the time. And it's different. It's a different way of life. It makes you see how different areas of the world are and how different people live from different places. So some comparison here. Area of West Virginia is about 24,000 square miles. Area of Kanawha County is about 911 square miles. Area of Hong Kong is about 427 square miles. So you can see less than half of the area of Kanawha County. Population of West Virginia, 1,700,000 or so, depending on if anybody left this week. Population of Kanawha County, 180,000. Population of Hong Kong, 7,496,000. Yeah, so 7.5 million people. So you can see, in comparison, much, much smaller area, much larger population. So what it comes down to is that Hong Kong is less than half the size of Kanawha County, but 42 times the population. Hong Kong has about less than 2% of the territory of West Virginia, and it has about 4.18 times as many people. So those are some pretty impressive numbers, right? So you have over 4 times as many people squeezed into an area that's less than half the size of Kanawha County. Here's a question. Is Hong Kong part of China? Well, yes and no. It's a separate political entity with a high degree of political economy, but yes, it is a part of China. Technically, we would say it's a special administrative region of the People's Republic of China, also referred to as the SAR sometimes. Just throw in a pic here and there for excitement. This is the group of students again that we took on a trip. This is the Li River up in Guangxi province in mainland China. Has Hong Kong always been a part of China? Well, No. Until 1997, Hong Kong was a crown colony of the United Kingdom. It was a concession of the First Opium War, which was fought in 1842. There was a second Opium War fought in 1860, and the United Kingdom obtained a 99-year lease on an area called the New Territories. When this lease was due to expire, Deng Xiaoping, who was leader of China at that time, negotiated with Margaret Thatcher for the return of Hong Kong to China. This took place in 1984, and this international treaty was referred to as the Sino-British Joint Declaration. So I moved to Hong Kong in 1998, the year after it was handed back to China. So at that time, you could see not much of a difference. Hong Kong has its own little constitution, mini constitution called the Basic Law. Hong Kong has a chief executive that's selected through an election, but it's not a one-person, one-vote election. So it's one of the controversial things about Hong Kong. This is the current chief executive. His name is John Lee. Here's a picture of me with some students. This time I was working in Hong Kong as I was in the management department and head of the department. And we were starting a new program in entrepreneurship. And so these are some students that were out there picking up literature on this new program. Here's a little bit of information about the 4 basic areas of Hong Kong. Of course, you got Hong Kong Island. This is what most people think of. You also have this area called Kowloon, which is right across from Hong Kong Island, really densely populated. You got these outlying islands. The biggest one is Lantau Island here. This is where the airport is. So if you fly into Hong Kong, you'll land here, cruise into Hong Kong this way. Then you got this big area up here called the New Territories. Most people actually end up living in Hong Kong, not Hong Kong Island. This is very densely populated, Kowloon. Does Hong Kong have a higher GDP than the U.S.? Well, adjusted for purchasing power parity, Hong Kong's per capita GDP was $56,000, while the U.S. GDP per capita was $59,000 in 2020. Here are some pictures. Most people think that Hong Kong is all like this, and this is an interesting part of Hong Kong. It's one of the most densely populated places on the planet Earth, and so you get to see these crowds, these huge crowds of people, but at the same time, it has lots of green space. Lots of the country is marked off in what they call country parks, and there's lots of great hiking. For example, here's a picture of some hikes. And the Dragon's Back, this is a great hike down this mountain that overlooks these huge vistas and it's urban landscapes. I just loved hiking. I really got to do a lot of hiking when I was living in Hong Kong, and it was very enjoyable. This is an area of Hong Kong called Sai Kung, which is famous for its beaches. This is another beach from Hong Kong. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this looks like Long Ke Beach, which I got to visit on a few occasions. And this is a trail. Lots of these trails just going all through Hong Kong. And as you're going through these trails, you'll see monkeys, lizards, and different types of wildlife. Here's a picture of a student hiking in Hong Kong, living her best life and doing stuff, creating memories that are going to last a lifetime. These little monkeys are called macaques, and I like to think of them as the deer of Hong Kong. That is the nuisance of Hong Kong. They're everywhere, and they're overrunning things, and they get in your way, and people run over them with their cars, and it's just a big nuisance. And here's another fascinating thing about Hong Kong. You have these wild or feral cows that are just roaming around in Hong Kong. They're not dangerous. What happened was, in the 60s and 70s, Hong Kong developed so fast that a lot of the farmers just left, moved to the city or immigrated, went to other places. Farming wasn't profitable anymore, and they just left the cows, and those cows sort of became like pets. you can see that the Department of Natural Resources in Hong Kong tag them and maintains them, makes sure that they don't harm people or people don't harm them, but they just allow them to roam around. Hong Kong's future, again, if you look down here, this is Hong Kong. Shenzhen is the big city you may have heard of. It's just right across the border, the little border here, into mainland China. Shenzhen is a mega city, a high-tech city, sort of a Silicon Valley. Hong Kong's future is tied up with that of China. China is trying to integrate Hong Kong into an area called the Greater Pearl River Delta, along with Shenzhen, Macau, which is a lot of gaming, and Guangdong, which is manufacturing. And it's called the Pearl River Delta because the Pearl River flows down from mainland China into this big area. So this whole area is like the Mississippi River Delta. This is the Pearl River Delta. China is an amazingly diverse country. This is a picture of me when I was traveling up in the northern part of China near Russia. You can maybe tell from the architecture, this place is called Harbin, and the Russian influence is obvious in the onion dome tops on these cathedrals. Here's a question for you. How many public universities are there in Hong Kong? 3, 5, or 8? Well, if you guessed 8, you're correct. We've got Chinese University of Hong Kong. I taught there for a while. We got City University of Hong Kong. We got the Education University of Hong Kong. We got Hong Kong Baptist University. This is where I taught the longest. We got Hong Kong Polytechnic University. We got Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Lingnan University, and the University of Hong Kong. A little bit about my life in Hong Kong. Well, again, I moved there in 1998. Worked at Chinese U. I worked at Hong Kong Baptist. 1 year I spent up in mainland China and a city called Lanzhou in Gansu province. Traveled to every single province of China. I've also traveled to every place close to there: Korea, Japan, Myanmar, Mongolia, Laos, Cambodia, Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan. One of the good things is if you like travel, and I love travel, but if you like travel, when you're in Hong Kong, it's close to everything in Asia. You can hop on a plane for very little money. You can go to the Philippines. You can go to Japan. You can go to Singapore. Just loads of places you can go. Here are some pictures. This is a picture. This is in Lanzhou up in the north when I was up there teaching. This is a view from my office in Lanzhou. The guy here in the light collared suit, this is a picture from one of my classes. We took a class photo at Hong Kong Baptist University, and that's a photo from that. This is an apartment building that I lived in. I lived in the 31st floor, and this place was called Sunshine City, and it was a place where I lived for a while. More pictures. This is a town I lived in called Ma'anshan. It's called that because it's Chinese for horseback mountain, because I believe that this mountain here looks like a horse's back. This is a picture. This place is called Sanlun-Sai. It's a fishing village out in the New Territories. Not a whole lot of those left now. This is another picture of Sanlun-Sai, a fishing village. Here's some pictures. I'm a big Kung Fu fan, so I got to go to the Shaolin Temple, which is sometimes called the birthplace of Kung Fu. These are having dinner with some Chinese students. This is just a random shot from Hong Kong. This is me hiking with some colleagues on the beach in Sai Kung. This is a shopping street near where I used to live in Tai Po, which is a part of Hong Kong. Here's some more pics I took. This is me at a Chinese restaurant. Baby. This is the Yellow River in a village, and just when I was out traveling and touring. This is me here, and this is a group of MBA students I taught in Lanzhou. Right, just some street pictures. I thought this was interesting. Up in the north of China, there are a lot of these people that are called Hui people. They're Muslim people, and they don't eat pork, but they eat a lot of lamb. And so I just thought it was kind of interesting. They have this food out here for people to see and choose as they eat. Here's some other pictures. This is my cousin, also lives in Putnam County. When she came to visit, we're riding across the harbor, looking at Hong Kong Island. These are pictures from a temple. Ran into a couple of students on a flight to Beijing, and they want to get a picture taken with me. This is a picture taken at a lunch with some colleagues. This is the Terracotta Warriors up in Xi'an in the northern part of China. This is also from Xi'an. This is another picture. I forget where this picture was taken. I think this was taken in Xiamen, but I can't remember. My parents came to visit, so this is my mother and father who came for a visit from Putnam County. You can tell they're typical West Virginia. I like this picture because they look kind of out of place among the hustle and bustle of an Asian city. Yeah, Hong Kong is an extremely diverse city. Very international. A large number of Europeans have moved there. Has a lot of similarities with, say, a place like New York City. So this is just a picture of a group of people. I believe we took this at one of the tech companies that we went to visit. A few other interesting things about Hong Kong. People drive on the left like in Britain. Driving is a luxury in Hong Kong. Only 7% of households own a car. This is due mostly to a lack of space. It costs an extremely large amount of money to have a parking space to park your car, and so that deterred a lot of people from getting a car. And also, there's the public transport is so cheap. There are these double-decker buses. There are trains. There are loads of taxis and Ubers, so it's just not necessary to have a car. It's just not practical to own a car. Some of the students actually stayed and worked in Hong Kong. There are lots of opportunities for working in Hong Kong. You know, my son says that not knowing Cantonese is a disadvantage. Cantonese is a local language. I don't necessarily agree with that so much. Unfortunately, I think we're given some special treatment, maybe because we're foreigners when we're in Hong Kong. Teachers are far better paid in Hong Kong than they are in the United States, and there are more entrepreneurship opportunities in Hong Kong. There's an extremely high abundance of billionaires. Okay, here's the big stumbling block, I think, for most people. When we get into the discussion, I want you to think about this. For people from West Virginia, just allowing themselves to consider this is scary. You know, it's just something that they don't think about. They wouldn't think of ever really moving and studying abroad for a year. So you have to push yourself slightly out of your comfort zone. But by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is the best way to achieve personal growth. So this is for our graded discussion this week. I want you to give this some serious consideration. I want you to think about it. I want to give yourself permission to think outside the box. You can't say that you can't afford it. This is free. This is free, more or less. It's like someone writing you a check for $50,000. I want you to think about, why would you like to study in Hong Kong? How do you think this would benefit your career and change your life? I want you to also talk about why you would not like to study in Hong Kong. What would be the biggest obstacles? Which of the majors would you choose? Do you think you would choose, and why? What are the biggest obstacles to overcome for you to apply for a scholarship? These are both external obstacles and internal obstacles. And number 5, finally, how would you have difficulty convincing your family, relevant others, to go along with your plan? How could you convince them to go along with you? Because, you know, this is another big stumbling block. If you decide you want to go to Hong Kong for a year, you have to get the significant people in your life to go along with you. So, yeah, that's it, guys. Let's have some discussion here. And, you know, this is your first year. You have 4 years to think about this. I don't think that this is going to go away. Would you like to do this? What would be the biggest obstacles? Let's get the discussion going. All right? Thanks. Talk to you later.